Good evening, everyone. My name is Todd Scholl. I serve as the Director of Wellness and Communications at the SCEA Center for Educator Wellness and Learning. You can learn more about what we do. We call ourselves a COOL for short because that acronym's that's a long one. We call ourselves COOL for short, and you can find out more about what we do right here on this website, cool.us, CEWL.us. There you'll find all the live streams, including the one we're going to do tonight. You'll find that there. You'll find all the videos that Pete Stone does, all the writing that Steve Newsom does, the yoga sessions Alex Del Castillo does. And of course, you're going to find information on our Cool Induction Institute led by Dr. Marcella Weinsnyder, including the Cool Coaching Program and Dear Cool Coach and all the other amazing work that she and her team are doing. Tonight, we are going to be talking about building reps. And this is a huge part of growing a movement to support educators and students here in South Carolina, to have a leader in each building, in each public school in South Carolina is such a critical piece to what we do because it creates that grassroots connection between what's happening to educators in the classroom, to the association, and helps us coordinate, helps us understand what's going on at the local level. It's really important that the SCEA knows what's happening locally, that we can take that temperature. And building reps are such a huge key component to helping the SCEA to help us inform the work that we're doing to make sure that we're advocating specifically for you. And of course, it's important for us to come to you to advocate on your behalf. So to talk about that tonight, we have three incredible guests. We have Ellen Giovinazzo, Jenny Klich, and Desiree Smith. So without further ado, let's bring on these three incredible educators and talk about what it means to be a building rep. So first of all, good evening to all three of you, and thank you so much for being here. I'd like us just to sort of go around and introduce ourselves, like who you are and what you do, and so the folks listening know a little bit more about our group tonight. And start with Ellen.
Hi, so I am the currently the statewide field organizer for the South Carolina Education Association. But I came to this position via 34 years of teaching. And in that time, I was a building rep for two different buildings where I was employed. And then I became president of my local. And I worked very hard as president of my local to utilize my building reps. And I then eventually began training building reps in the Uniserv district where I was teaching. So now I'm here doing some more of that work.
Welcome. Jenny?
Hey, I'm Jenny Klich. I teach Spanish at Ashley Ridge High School in Somerville. We have a very, very small handful of us over at Ashley Ridge, but I try to serve as their rep. And when I hear that people are having challenges, work with them, make them aware of what's available to them, and communicate information both ways.
Great. Desiree?
Hi, I'm Desiree Smith. I'm here in Columbia. I work at Olympia Learning Center, and there are about 30 to 40 employees there. I am the building rep, and I try to, again, I listen to as far as any concerns they have, and I talk to administration about some of those concerns and how the SCEA can benefit as far as all educators, whether you are in the classroom or you are support staff.
Thank you. Thanks to the three of you for introducing yourselves. Ellen, can you tell us a little bit more about, let's start with sort of the role of a building rep. Like if someone is interested, someone who's watching might be interested in being a leader in their school, what does being a building rep entail?
Well, as you've heard referenced several times, you bridge between the members and at the local level and with their leadership at the local level and also with the SCEA at the state level. And you're there to ensure that two-way communication. I consider building reps to be the face of the union at the building level. So when someone is having a problem, whether the building rep themselves is going to advocate with that member, or whether they're going to find the right person to come and to their aid. They are that face of the union. The building rep also increases visibility. So when you join the union, you need to see your union and see it at work. And the building rep is one of the ways that you can see that. And finally, the building rep is a friendly face in the building, who, when someone's interested in joining and wants to get involved, there's someone who can bring that to them.
Awesome. So, Jenny, let's ask you first of all, why did you become a building rep? And as you've been that representative in your building, what are some of the how do you see that your role is important in terms of supporting your colleagues?
Well, the short answer to why I became a building rep started with being asked, to be perfectly honest. But it's really turned into something that's been important to me. We do kind of have challenges getting people to join where I'm at. And so I was asked to be that person, just to kind of be that face. I think what's really important to me is just that awareness and visibility. One of the wisest things somebody told me when I started was really visibility is half the battle. And so being the person that reminds my colleagues that, the union is available, we're here to help you, it's a thing. I feel like right now it's kind of a scary time to be a teacher, with a lot of the pressures and things that are happening, and just trying to kind of get people to see that, there are scary things happening and scary things coming down the pike, but to know in advance that you have people in your corner, that there's nothing we can't face if we do it together, I think is important. And trying to kind of either speak at a faculty meeting, or, put a letter in people's boxes, or bring it up in conversation that, that you don't have to be in this alone, that you've got a union that you can work with.
Awesome. And Desiree, say are some of the sort of wins that you've had. What are some of the things you've been able to accomplish as a building rep in your school?
I've actually been able to increase as far as the membership. And by doing that, I have a listening ear. So I listen to as far as individuals' concerns, their celebrations, and my being able to share with individuals the wins that the SCEA has been able to actually help and provide individuals over the last 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
And
So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Individuals feel comfortable talking with me, and I've just always told individuals I have an open door. Anything that they want to talk about, I also share and show interest as far as in their family. And I think that's something that's important too, to see individuals actually not just in the workplace, but also other parts of their lives.
So this and any of you can answer this question. It is, as Jenny mentioned, it is a scary time to be a teacher, and then to be the one in your building that sort of stands up and has to speak out on behalf of other teachers. What are some of the ways that you would like, for anybody who's thinking that way, but they'd like to step into this leadership role, but they're a little bit scared to do that? Can you help provide some encouragement for those people?
Well, first of all, the SCEA is always here for you. You have your UniServe director, you have trainings, and you always have someone to turn to. And that's part of being in a union. You're not alone either. And we provide training, and you just need to reach out the moment you need some assurance, and Alana or Brandy or Melody or I will be there for you.
And Jenny or Desiree, do you have any words of encouragement for folks who are maybe a little bit scared of being the one to sort of stand up in their building?
I think one thing for me
Another
that's made it
resource.
a lot. Oh, sorry.
Okay. Another resource are the other actually building reps, because through the training, you actually get a chance to meet as far as those individuals. And you have your district level individuals. You have a district president, other officers as well, that of course are always open and willing to help you.
Absolutely.
Jenny?
I say, I think one thing I found for me that's been an easier entry point to easing some of that initial intimidation you can feel is finding some things that are positive so that you're not always the person who shows up when people are having a problem. A couple of years ago, the student president for the state college student organization for SEA was a graduate of Ashley Ridge. And I sent out an email to all of our staff, saying, hey, look what our graduate is doing. I know a lot of you taught this person. This is something to be proud of and celebrate. And it was really a good opportunity to kind of put that positive face forward and have something to celebrate without it being, there's a problem, there's a tension, there's an issue to raise.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a really good point, Jenny. And that is one thing that I think I've seen happen sometimes is sometimes the administration starts to see you as this person who's going to just come in and complain. But if you are balancing that out by saying, listen, I'm really here to actually support you as an administrator, to help you be aware of what folks are, how they're feeling and what they're saying. And maybe they're a little bit scared to bring that up with you. I'm actually I'm here to help you, but it's sort of balancing out that, that desire to be a team member, but also a person who's a strong advocate and willing to stand up to power to ensure that they are aware of the issues that are being raised by your colleagues.
And Todd, it's really important to focus on relationships. So building that relationship with your administration, meeting with them on a monthly basis just to check in and say, hey, remember I'm your building rep from the SCEA, and, checking in on positives as well as negatives. And also you're having those one-on-one conversations with your colleagues so that those conversations are positive and you can hear from them, other than when there are problems.
Yeah. And I think this idea of, I think in South Carolina, one thing we don't do enough is really get together. Usually when we're getting together, it's at a faculty meeting. And one of the things that I think a building rep can really help with is getting people together outside of a faculty meeting to actually discuss, to hear what's going on, and to then be a voice for the concerns that are brought to them and the celebrations that are brought to them. So to voice all of that to power.
Yeah, we recommend a 10-minute meeting a month, and it's just 10 minutes a month with your other members in the building, and one topic, and boom, so that you can touch base.
I know. Building reps also will sometimes have one-on-one meetings with people in the building, and also will sort of make sure that the people in the building are aware that the union exists through like bulletin boards or updates and that kind of thing. So Jenny and Desiree, what are some strategies you use to make sure people are aware that the SCEA exists? I know, Desiree, you mentioned that you're out there recruiting members. What are some other strategies that you've used that have helped sort of organize the people in your building?
Strategy I use is I celebrate as far as the members, especially Teacher Appreciation Week and all that. I create just little mementos, a lot using as far as a Cricut as far as crafts. So I did each member's name, their personal name for them on just a small little kind of like a luggage tag, but it has their personal name. And I use different colors. So that kind of gave them that special feeling, that connection, that someone was actually recognizing them for the hard work that they do. During other celebrations, I give as for small little gifts again as well. Just something to say, I appreciate you, we appreciate you, and thank you for being a member of the union.
Amazing. Jenny?
At my school, I try to do a lot of passing on events that are happening through SCEA and making sure that teachers are aware that they're happening, that they can help, and that also I can be a point of contact for them. So when we're scheduling like a listening session or a podcast or event, where something's come up, I make sure that goes out to my staff and I say, hey, it's me again. I'm your friendly neighborhood building rep. Here are some things that could be of use to you. And, I'm also happy to talk to you about membership. I found it to be helpful for me and kind of make those connections that this is a union, it helps teachers, and I'm the person you can talk to.
I think sometimes people feel like, especially if they're earlier in their career, or maybe they're kind of new to leadership, they think, well, like, I'm going to be the building rep. Like, there's teachers here that have been here 10 years longer than I have. Can you talk a little bit about sort of what is it required to be a building rep, and why I think more people need to see the potential in themselves to lead? Can you all talk about that?
I had to chuckle with what you said because I feel like you had gone back in time and scripted everything that I said and thought when I first got asked to do it.
Right.
I think one of the things that I've really had to learn in this role, and just with everything that I've done with SCA, is not to let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Like I said, we kind of struggle with not having as many people as we would like. I know we can all relate to struggling with, I have young children at home and I'm teaching full time. And so, you can kind of listen to all the things of ideally, this is what we'd like to see. But there's also value in, okay, I might not be able to do all of those things, but what can I do to provide some visibility, to check in with colleagues in my building, to let them know about some events that are coming up, to see if anybody needs some support or what the common issues are, and just remind people one more time that we're here. And instead of worried about, I could never check off all of those boxes, what can I do to support teachers in my building?
Great.
So, yeah, when we do our training, one of the things we do at the end is we ask each person to just commit to 1 or 2 small actions that they're going to take. You're going to grow this. You're not going to start with everything all at once. And then also to let us know, 2 or 3 things that you need from us to help support you. So you're building your leadership, and we're here to support you.
Desiree?
And I agree with both individuals. And what I do too is tell them, you are not in this alone, that I will be there for you and I will walk step by step with you to help and to provide that support. And you do have a UNICEF director, you have your local president as well. We have state president. There are lots of resources that are available to you. And I will be there to help you and to guide you, as well as working with other individuals, not just in our building, but also in our district. So I think that has been really the thing, to provide that support and let individuals know you are not in this by yourself and you will not be left alone. You have support, you have resources.
Absolutely. It's interesting. When I started teaching, I didn't see myself as a leader, and it took a long time for me to see that I could be. And then once I was, there's a really good feeling about advocating not only for yourself, but advocating for others. I think sometimes in South Carolina in particular, when we think of teacher advocacy, we think, well, some organization's going to figure that out for me in Columbia. And what I think we're realizing is that that's not enough, that yes, we need folks at the State House advocating there for policy and the right kind of budgets. But if we don't have this sort of grassroots leadership in each building that can not only lead in the building, but then, as Desiree mentioned, kind of come together and support each other in that work, then we're really missing out on this critical piece. I think of it kind of like gardening. You can plant all the right crops, but if you don't take care of the soil and you're not, weeding and taking care of the insects and the pests and things like that, you're not going to have a great garden. So we have to not only take care of the policy from the State House, but build out this sort of grassroots leadership. Can the two who are Desiree and Jenny, can you talk a little bit about how your work with other building reps has supported you in your work? You want to shout
Part
out
of what I've
anybody?
done is there are some of the activities that other building reps are doing. I've tried some of those things as far as in my building, but you have to also know your building and your people. So I don't try everything that they do. I may change it up a little bit to fit as far as my building. In my building, I have middle school and high school, and then I have an administrative wing. So I sometimes do a little different twist with the administrative wing because they don't have that day-to-day contact with students. So that helps as well as a lot. I get a lot of ideas. I will tell individuals, I'm stealing that idea. I might use all of it. I might use part of it.
Right. Jenny, have you had support from other building reps?
Absolutely. We all know that good teachers borrow, but great teachers steal. That's rule number one. One thing I've really gotten a lot of benefit out of as far as connecting with other people is sometimes having those back channel unofficial connections. I've had times where somebody in my building has said, hey, I was asked to do this or got told this, and it doesn't quite seem normal or doesn't seem right. And it's really nice when I can kind of skip all the layers and just, text or email a friend or a fellow member who's doing a related role somewhere else and say, hey, can you just kind of shed some light? Is this a universal district thing? Did something happen that we're reacting to, or help me understand? And really being able to connect people with others, that can help them or clarify things and actually how they look on the ground instead of, how somebody's going to tell me they should be looking has been helpful to me.
Thank you. Why the SCEA over other organizations or over just trying to figure it out yourself? What is it about the SCEA that you're finding particularly helpful and powerful in the work that you're doing?
For me, it's the support. I have local support, I have state support, I have national support. And that, to me, that's a three-leg connection, so it's a triangle. Other organizations, there was just one segment, and I was always kind of confused of who to talk to with and trying to find that support in my building as well as throughout my district.
Jenny or Ellen, you have anything to add to that?
You have such a great point about the different layers of support. It's not just people at the state. It's not just people who are local. It's not just a national organization. You kind of have all three, and you are so right. Those things together, if you had any one of those three pieces without the other ones, it wouldn't be as powerful. I had a situation a few years ago that was really rough at my school, but I could literally text my local person and say, hey, this is going on, or this hasn't gotten better. And she would know, well, have you tried talking to, this person at the district or done this thing? And she knew exactly those people's names and what their roles were, and who really could help out in a meaningful way. And that was so helpful to me.
And I don't think you have to, like you all mentioned, you don't have to do this alone. If you step up and you say, I'm going to be a building rep, it's not like you have to necessarily do that alone. You can rope in some colleagues of yours and have a crew or a team of people leading in your building. It doesn't have to just fall all on your shoulders. Ellen, can you talk a little bit about how someone can become a building rep? Say someone's watching this and they're interested in becoming one. How do you become one?
Well, you can become a building rep by contacting your local president, or you can contact your UNISERV director. Their names and contact information can be found on our website, as well as you can contact me. And then we'll get the ball rolling. We'll make sure that your president is aware of your interests, and we'll make sure that you can get training as soon as it's available. and talk to other people and network with other people to help you out. And as far as delegating authority, it is a great way to, number one, support you in your role, and number two is it helps to find more leaders to join. So, definitely contact your president or contact one of the UNISERV directors at the SCEA.
When I think about the potential here, and I want everybody who's listening to think, imagine that there's a building rep at every single public school in South Carolina, and then we're all joining the union together. How would education in South Carolina transform if we could make that happen? What do you envision changing for educators and students if we could make that happen?
I think a dynamic I would love to see change in that situation is where educators would become something everybody at all levels of power know you have to consider beforehand, instead of the, oh, accidental, now a couple of people are whining afterwards. If we really had that kind of organization and that kind of power, nobody who made any decisions about education, from the people in the state legislature to your district office, they wouldn't do things without checking in and seeking input first, if that makes any sense.
Right. Or it wouldn't be some sort of performative, yeah, we'll have a few teachers come in and listen to you. It would be actually something with teeth to it. Like they would,
Yes.
they would have
Not that we've already made the decision, but we're going to go through the song and dance of these input sessions.
Which I remember, and I won't say where this was, but I remember being asked to give advice on the new dress code policy, and we worked with a group of teachers, and we spent all this time studying it and sharing it and polling people in our building, and we gave it, and it was not what they wanted to hear, and they went ahead with the policy anyway. But I think you're right. I think if we did have a building rep and everybody was a member of the SCEA, and we could get that kind of solidarity from building to building, district to district, and across the state, all of a sudden you have power that you haven't had before. And I think South Carolina teachers, unfortunately, are used to feeling disempowered and just take that as the default state, that's the way it has been, the way it is, and the way it's always going to be. And yet we know that if we can just build these structures and get people to join together and work together in solidarity, that I think you're exactly right, Jenny. I don't think that they can ignore that any longer, and they can't play that game of, oh yeah, we heard you, but we're doing this anyway. Desiree or Ellen, do you have any thoughts on that?
My thoughts are collaboration, communication, and it will be actual decision making that will benefit everyone. And that's educators, students, parents, the community, and it will actually increase as far as our level of education and really get our students involved and ready for either the world of work or for college.
Ellen?
Well, I also think that if we could make clear what the work conditions are in education, because to let the legislature from everyone, it would be very powerful, because our work conditions are our students' learning conditions. And when we're looking at the achievement of our students, so much is being affected by what's not being addressed. And teachers and educators in those buildings know what needs to be addressed.
Absolutely. So, folks who are watching, you're not a building rep, and your school doesn't have a building rep. You're the one. You need to call us up, contact your UNISERV director. We've got Melody Bollinger in the upstate. We've got Brandy Sturdivant in the Midlands and Alana Ward in the Low Country. So if you can go to the scea.org, find out who your UNISERV director is, contact them. Or if you have a local president, so if you're, for example, in Berkeley County, contact your Berkeley County president. Or if you're in Richland County or Horry County, contact your president. Just look them up. and then we can go from there. But we need to build these strong locals. We need to build up, and this is really the critical point where leadership and advocacy starts, is at the base where this is all happening. And I just want to say thanks to Jenny and Desiree for what you're doing, because we know that teaching is demanding enough. And for you to step up and step into this leadership role, taking on that mantle and saying, I'm going to not only work on what's happening in the four walls of my classroom, but I'm going to step outside and make sure that my colleagues all have what they need. Because ultimately, that's, if I get them what they need, then just as Ellen said, then our students are going to get what they need. So, and that's ultimately why we all do this work, is to ensure that our students have bright futures. And in order for that to happen, we have to equip their teachers with the kind of wages and working conditions that they deserve so that they can thrive. Is there anything that we have not discussed tonight that you want to make sure we talk about before we sign off? Or did we cover it all?
I think we covered it, but I want to reiterate that building representatives are like the heart of the organization, and they bring the union into the building and into those members, so that that visibility is there and the membership has value.
Thank you. Any final words, Desiree or Jenny?
Our role is to inform and to share towards information, and celebrate. So celebrating as far as all of the wins, celebrating as far as the people that we work with every day. And then, of course, be that listening ear when there is a concern or a challenge.
Thank you. Jenny?
I know teaching in South Carolina sometimes can feel like an uphill battle, but there's also such an element to it of being a self-fulfilling prophecy that it often feels like we're not making headway, we don't have the power, and we get taken advantage of. And there's truth to all of that. But if we decide we're going to organize and build up together, we have every ability to change that dynamic.
Hear, hear. Thank you so much. Thanks to Desiree and Jenny for being building reps. Thank you so much. And thank you, Ellen, for helping us organize this live stream tonight, for the work that you're doing to help support our building reps across the state of South Carolina. So appreciate all three of you, and hope you have a wonderful night. And hopefully we'll get some more folks that are interested in stepping up and being leaders in their buildings. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. That was Ellen Giovinazzo, Jenny Klich, and Desiree Smith talking about why building reps matter. And if you are interested in becoming a building rep, you can go to the SCEA.org, contact your UNICERT director, or find out who the president is of your local association. Reach out to them, and they'll be more than happy to connect you with the resources you need and the development that you need. You don't have to know it all. You don't have to have it all perfected to start leading in your building. All you need is a desire to learn, a desire to grow, and to step into that leadership role, to have that courage. And you're not going to do it alone. You're going to have a support network of other building reps, and you're going to have the SCEA standing behind you, standing beside you as you do this important work. So thanks to the three of them for sharing that information this evening. And thank you for tuning in. I have a couple of things I want to share with you before we sign off. If you are an induction teacher, that is folks in the first 5 years of the teaching profession, and you work in a public school in South Carolina, every Tuesday and Thursday night, you can go to this website right here, cool.us/coaching. So this is between 6 and 8 p.m. Anytime on Tuesday, Thursday, between 6 and 8 p.m., you can jump in. It could be 7:09. You don't have to do the whole 2 hours. You jump in, and you're going to get put into a breakout room with a veteran educator, and you can ask for the advice and the guidance that you need. You can ask them about anything, about classroom management, maybe issues you're having with administration, issues you're having with a colleague or a parent, or technical questions. Whatever support you need, our cool coaches are there, and you don't have to be a member of the SCEA to participate in this. So make sure that every induction teacher in your building is aware of cool coaching. And if you don't want to join that, but you'd like to submit a question to our Cool Coaching team, you can do this. You can just get on your email and type Dear Cool Coach at gmail.com, send out an email, and that team will take a look at your question and get you a response to that question. And that can all be done at any time. Just go to dearcoolcoach at gmail.com. So again, just want to thank Ellen Giovinazzo, Jenny Klich, and Desiree Smith for talking with us tonight about the importance of building reps. We hope that those who watched and are interested will reach out to us. And we hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you